Now, hey guys, we are here with Ian Stonebrook of Boardroom and some of my favorite articles that I ran into you um, on Twitter because I'm all over Twitter, and you put out you did a piece on Club 520,
hmm
and I have been a Club 520 fan before it was cool. We'll put it that way. Before it was cool, before it became what it is now. Tell me about your interaction in learning and doing your piece on Club 520 and just the podcast space in general, because I've seen you cover all the smoke and like, tell me about your interaction with that.
Yeah, it was funny. So I'm actually freelance right now. So I'm working for ESPN and Scape, but had a great run with Boardroom. But during my first freelance stint, maybe shoot around the pandemic, DJ reached out to me just I think off Twitter or something of that nature, which is funny too, 'cause I don't spend a ton of time on it. I'm not like super active.
Yeah,
But he had this podcast called That's an Opinion,
right.
and he's like, yeah, I think we knew some of the same folks through like 99 and Slam and like, Nice Kicks, Hoops, Sneakers, things like that. So, I got to know him a little bit that way. And then, fast forward, maybe a year later and I'm playing some pickup ball and my buddy Diggs is like, yo, man, like Jeff Teague's like the best basketball podcaster right now. And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta check them out because I think that basketball podcasts are like I think they're like low key one of the best things somebody can do for their mental health.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
like you're always kind of getting like somebody's stories from like a hyper confident standpoint, but with like humor because of like the lens of the past.
Yeah,
Someone it's somebody like Gil or Jeff or something, or Q and Darius and things like that. So anywho, I see, the clip that was going around about the Jimmy Butler, famous,
right.
Timberwolves, me and basically all the two-way guys versus the starters, and the Rachel Nichols interview to follow. And I'm like, oh shoot, that's Jeff Teague. And I was like, oh shoot, is that DJ? Like, because I hadn't we probably hadn't really like spoke too much one-on-one in, maybe a few months, year, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, wait, is Jeff Teague wearing the Galaxy phone posits? And it was before they came back out. So I was like,
Right.
that's like not many people had those. So, I became, kind of tapped into what they were doing with 520. And I mean the rise and run they've had, man, is just awesome. And it's when I do like my walks at night or put on a podcast, I was listening to Bill Bellamy episode the other day, which was
Mm,
great. So I'm a big fan of those guys. B Hen and Teague's brother too, who sounds like was a even more of a hooper like growing up or whatever in the indie area, man. It's real cool.
absolutely. You're absolutely right about there's something about basketball podcasts lately, and there's not all of them. However, being a former hooper, and you're kind of used to getting the politically correct um, comments and quotes from people online and whatnot, and then you hear a different perspective, and especially Jeff T, because Jeff, I mean, he was an all-star.
Mhm.
He's at a different level than the average basketball player,
For sure.
and to hear him not media trained or anything, put it out there and say how this is and this is, or like I watched him. He was talking about how he fouled LeBron, and it's like I don't care. Like things like that. You don't hear that, and hearing that different perspective, especially like I'm a big fan of Q and Darius. Like just because it's a whole different level of. We're not going to give you what you expect to hear. We're going to give you like the honest truth of like this is what we think of this guy. This is what we think of this, and it's refreshing, honestly.
Yeah, because it's almost always coming from a good place. You know what I mean? It's not salacious or things like that. I think when a lot of that kind of void was filled, I mean, it was pretty much like, you had, TNT coverage, two nights a week, and
Right.
ESPN kind of constantly figuring stuff out. I mean, I love the jump when it was
Yeah.
kind of at its apex or whatever. So there's a void in kind of like honest hoop talk that maybe had like the right amount of organization and like it's ill too because like the origin stories of the come up for both like Teague and Gilbert are pretty underdog stories, you know what I mean, in terms of not being super recruited or like, bred into
Yeah,
some of the other guys. And then just like, if you've ever had a chance to interact with Q or Darius, like two just really good-hearted, good dudes, you know what I mean? So, and who are like they're personal, they figured out the professional part of it like really well, and are like great guys, but like loyal to the soil, man. You know what I mean? They're not,
absolutely.
they get they get all the intricacies and present it really good. So yeah, I love those guys.
Absolutely. So I know you're a hooper. I don't, so as a former hooper, I'm on a different level. Like I was never an NBA player, never going to be even not a, I was lucky to get, well, off the college bench. So hearing this perspective of these guys, it's so Darius and Q are from Chicago. And
Mhm.
so just knowing and being in the same places, in the same areas, knowing the same people, like I understand, I get you, I understand exactly where you're coming from. And then you hear Gil like Gil, and Gil's a whole different animal.
Yeah,
Um,
he's one-on-one, yeah.
and then just knowing the talent level, like you'll never get that point, and just to hear his perspective and just thoughts of it, and the funny things about it, and I love this is what gets me. Um, when you hear about these players, these elite players, and how they were in college, and T just talked about it, and Gilbert's talked about Gilbert apparently just didn't even go to he just like I didn't go to college. I didn't want to I was not there for basketball, and I lived a whole different life like I was in Hollywood. Like it's just like you can
Yeah.
do that? That's so amazing. Oh my God. And so it's just incredible to hear. And here's what you're gonna learn. I always shoot around every way to keep it interested and to tie it all in because, and I'll tell you how this ties in because I know that you um, went to Michigan State.
Did yeah.
You're a hooper,
I
and here's
don't,
what
I don't know if any of my classmates or any of that would vouch that, but maybe there's a few people in the IM that would say that. But
you
yeah.
know what my teammates would say the same thing about me. So I hear you. My question, as weird as we got here, do you believe in Jeremy Fears?
Man, I like him a lot. He passes the test of I want to wear his jersey. He's a
Okay,
lot of fun. Um, he's kind of I mean, when you think about like the different point guards that, Michigan State has put out, like it is
hmm
kind of it's maybe not as revered as like a guard school as say like Arizona, you know what I mean, or
right,
UConn. Duke, Carolina, what have you. But man, they've had some real floor generals. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Obviously Magic, Scott Skiles, Mateen Cleaves, Cassius Winston. Like Nightso and Kalen Lucas were really good when I was there. And Fears is fun, man. He's got some youthful energy to his game, but he's still like he can still kind of have that carry a team type attitude. So I like him.
Yeah, he's got some fire. My only thoughts is he going to reach the level of his brother? Is where,
His brother's a hell of a player too, man. I mean, he already watching I've only seen him play maybe like a whole game once when they played the Spurs
yeah,
early on in the season because that was broadcast down here, but he already looks comfortable, man. You know what I mean?
doesn't
Like
he?
he really does. Like he's got a good frame on him. He's having fun with it, but like he's like just confident enough and like just timid enough. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's which is ahead of schedule because shoot, he's like 18 and a half or
I,
19. He's pretty young.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, I like him.
Um, the one thing I like about both of them, and I just saw that I don't want to watch a lot of Michigan State games because I'm an Illinois guy.
Mm.
But that both of those he's fearless, and that's scary to me, especially again being an Illini dude, knowing that we have to play these guys, and he was like, right now we have so much talent, but why can't you beat Michigan State? And what are they missing right now? I mean, I hate to believe that they're good, but apparently they're good, and I don't like that right now.
Oh, in terms of what Michigan State is missing,
Yeah,
I mean, I think at the end of the year it's going to be continuity and luck. You know what I mean? Just because, like, my dad and I were watching whatchamacallit, we were watching Northwestern and Minnesota a
Yeah.
few weeks back, and I was like, man, both these teams play like, you know, mid 2000s Duke, just
Hmm.
with, like guys that are maybe 3 inches shorter than their position and 5 inches off their vertical, just not as athletic. Like top to bottom, the Big Ten's really good. So like I do think it is gonna have, Fears would probably have to get on some sort of Kimball Walker heater, you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yes.
To or basically like you said, just kind of being bigger than the moment, because um that's kind of, those guys unifying and having some luck, man. It seems like that's where people can kind of, catch something in March or April.
Absolutely. And he looks like one of those guys, which is the scary part.
Yeah.
So you have the dream job to me. I absolutely am in love. You are a storyteller and you cover the greatest, the coolest things that pop in my head. Um, as a Chicago dude, growing up, I grew up in the Michael Jordan era, and you covered the Jordan brand sneakers and everything. It's Do you have a favorite Jordan sneaker?
Man, I mean, it changes like the weather. Ironically, I got threes on right now, which is probably always my favorite is like maybe like a high schooler per se. You know what I mean? I think
Yes,
like the white cements came back my freshman year,
yes, those are. Yep.
spring, a high school, and that was always just kind of like the threes and the 11, like I'd say the ones, the threes and the 11s, like as cliche as they are to like, obviously it's not like there's no like hipster answer in saying any of those three,
Yeah,
but like they each, they're they each speak to something very strongly. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
the one is obviously like super heritage, you know what I mean? And, became kind of like the menswear lifestyle shoe per se, for better or worse. The three was kind of like just with the elephant print in the air, like the very on the nose retro aesthetic that kind of like ended up influencing, 2000 streetwear
Hmm.
and like sneaker collecting. And then obviously the 11s is the crown jewel. And it's like, man, any city in America, that shoe's just gonna hold weight. And it's ill that like, you'll still see like elementary school kids, wearing retros and they could be box fresh clean or beat up, but they meant something to somebody in that household. You know what I
Oh,
mean? But
absolutely.
man, I'm probably into the older, weirder numbers right now, man. Like, I like, 16s, 17s, stuff like that, just
Okay.
because that's probably the itch I'm trying to scratch. But, I said it changes every day.
Okay. Just recently saw a Comcast article with Steph Curry, and you were involved with the shoes.
Hmm.
You're a shoe collector. Do you have a favorite pair of shoes?
Man, it was always phone pause and one growing up. I was always say like, when you're in, because I think that came out maybe when I was in fourth grade. And that was always the one that, you say, oh, if your house burned down, what's the first thing you'd save? And it'd be that before I even had them. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
it would be, you win the lottery, where you spending your money? It's like, oh, I'm gonna get a pair of those. So, um, that Royal Foam Posite, even though I've only had one pair of that in my life, just the '07 retro,
Okay.
which I guess I still have, and I haven't bought any of the recent, one-to-one, OGs, if you will.
Hmm.
But man, that's always just the one that was like. I kind of have this theory that Nike basketball's better when it's interesting than effective.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's something about like it means more to me to go to that shoe wall as, an 8, 9 year old and be like, oh my God, what is this? Even if the foam posit isn't like it probably ain't gonna get a 10 out of 10 on wear testers or whatever, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like shout out Nightwing.
right.
But it it moved things forward. It piqued imagination, and I'm always gonna have a soft spot for that.
Yeah, I hear you. For quite a while, and even still now, because they're very rare to find. The first, the first Pippins,
Hmm.
they ran the streets of Chicago. The first Barclays, and believe it or not, even still now, big in Chicago are the first pennies.
Mm.
Yeah. And then you get I think it ties back into yeah, once basketball was interesting and that's when the NBA had just it had the world by the neck at that point. And I think that's what drew the interest into it, those
No,
shoes.
definitely. And I mean, I have a biased lens, fallen in love with it in that, was in 94, 95 when Mike came back, when,
Mm,
Shaq and Olajuwon in the finals and the Taco Bell double decker commercials and the NBC, NBA on NBC vignettes, like there
yep.
was a lot of really good storytelling marketing. And then also too, if you look at like Nike basketball in 1995 versus Nike basketball in 1994, you're moving from like just like black and white nubuck, which like I like all the Barkley stuff, like Maestro Pippins, to like carbon fiber and jewel swooshes and
Mm,
full length visible air and patent leather and Corduroy mesh. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it was really it's really an ill time for everything was kind of firing at all cylinders.
All right. So we've talked about a lot and we haven't gotten to this point. And again, I told you I love to move around. How do you get into wanting to be a writer? Like what made you like, okay, this is the next step for me?
Man, honestly, just luck. I went to Michigan State, really just because I knew I wanted to play like pickup basketball at the rec and go to parties. I didn't really have I don't really have a professional path set out. But I was in between journalism and like marketing or advertising. There's a kid I went to, not kid now, grown man, but well, I went to high school with who was a year older, Teddy Newton, who was like a really good writer and did like school paper and stuff like that. Anyway, I ran into him once on campus in Michigan State. And I was like, "Yo, man, how's journalism going?" He's like, "Man, honestly, it's awful. I got to cover this." Like John L. Smith was the coach at the time, and he was getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm seeing how it affects the family and stuff like that. And just like, I don't think I'm cut out for it. And me, like, I'm a pretty big empath or empathetic person. I don't know if like clinically an empath or whatever the certification is. I don't want to, steal anybody
Right.
else's thunder, but I was like, man, I could never do that. You know what I mean? Like I just feel too bad. So I ended up doing marketing because my uncle, who was a professor, was like, yo, you'll have a better shot job wise doing marketing than advertising. And then I ended up getting an internship at Nice Kicks down in Austin, Texas,
Mm,
and started writing. And thank God they liked my writing. So it was it's pretty meandering route there, and
right.
I probably have some of the benefit from not being classically trained, but also some of the fundamental flaws
Yeah,
of,
right.
you know, um, not knowing some things I should probably know, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So it's been an ill path and it's still one that's always constantly changing, but just try to put your best foot forward.
Absolutely. I tell kids, college kids, that the same thing. Like I didn't take the same path that normally like a writer would take or whatnot, and kind of don't know the same things, that they should know, but it kind of makes your writing distinct because it's
Yeah.
coming from a place of genuine interest or love. And I'm kind of the same as you. I, oh God, I'm guess I'm going to admit this publicly. A few people know this. I didn't really know too much about college in high school, except, okay, you got to pick a college. You can't just stay in high school. And there was at one point my junior year, probably even up to beginning of senior year, I was literally picking schools and sending my scores to whoever was like the top basketball schools
Hmm.
with no chance of even going, no, put no other thought into it. It was like, oh, Arizona's hot. It sounds like a
Yeah.
cool school to go to. How's Michigan doing? Oh, that seems like a place to go hang out, play basketball on the side and party and go to games.
Hmm.
And so yeah, luck I ended up at a D3, but like wasn't, but it was the same thought of, oh, that seems like a gay place to go hang out and play ball and party and whatnot, and just kind of your path is your path, I guess we'd like to say.
Yeah, no, I had the blessing of having parents who never like pressured me too much. I mean, they always just pressured me to do your best, like use
Right.
your God-given abilities or whatever. But like they were obviously like on my ass when it was the time where it's like, yo, these kind of mid grades, you might like Michigan's basketball or football team quite a bit, but like you ain't gonna get to Michigan. You know what I mean? Like
All
that's
right,
just like
that's what happened
that
to
that
me.
ain't happening. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know anything about how academically, heralded North Carolina was, you know what I mean, or anything like that. Not that
Exactly.
that was like super in the cards. Ironically enough, I did get a letter for like a journalism or writing scholarship from Miami, which was just like cool, I mean, playing high school football, I was like, all right, yeah, I don't think they want a 165-pound D tackle.
Right.
But yeah, it is like, and I don't know how that, the thoughts on college or degrees or things like that is for kids today. I mean, I guess, I talk a little bit with like, the girls that babysit my, toddler son who are in college and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wish I had some really good advice there for a young person listening, but I just say, try to follow your passion and your talents wherever those align, like, you'll probably be all right.
Absolutely. Um, Here's a question for you. Like, you covered Kai Cenat, who I
Hmm.
think is one of the more interesting, I can't even call it story. In probably the last 5 years, in my mind, there hasn't been two bigger influences outside of podcasts than Drewski and Kai Cenat.
Hmm.
What did you learn in talking and covering Kai?
I mean, I probably learned just how much I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Right?
just, that's, Twitch and all that and streaming is still a pretty foreign land to me. But that I think that, how some people will be like, whatchamacallit, like the evolution of Prince was Outcast. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like kind of like history never really repeats itself like one to one. That's why like to like, like of your sweatshirt. Like there are a lot of like Nas fans who don't like J. Cole. And I like J. Cole and I like Nas. You know what I mean? But it's just like it is very hard to do something where there is an existing archetype in said lane
Hmm.
and have that approval of like the old or the new. Not that I think Kai Cenat's looking for the approval of the old or anything, even though he's
Right.
getting it. But it's like, I mean, Kai Cenat kind of reminds me of like mixtape era Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's just like this flood of output. It's very youthful. It's kind of all over the place. And I just think that he's like, instead of like watching, 106 in Park or TRL, like he's the whole package, you know what I mean? Like he's the friend for sadly a generation with less friends. Kids are more, alone, more online and
More
stuff
online.
like
Yeah.
that. And I mean, if he's giving people a reason to laugh, he's bringing them closer to some of their favorite stars. I think he has real juice in like breaking records and being somebody fashion wise and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, he's you know, maybe there's a reason, maybe I'm not supposed to entirely understand. I don't even say that as hating, just like, new things for new generations. But yeah, he's got it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the same way. You think you're tapped in to a degree, and then you get this like, what? It's like, okay, but I love it. I love the energy, and I think that's part of it. It's the energy he brings, and he's seen again. I love genuine people that come off genuine and seem positive. So,
Well, yeah, and I mean, when I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, my favorite wrestler was X-Pac and my favorite rapper was Mystical. And neither one of them were like the most technically
oh
sound
my God.
wrestlers or rappers to some degree, you know what I mean? Or even like gave the best interviews or were like the illest style wise. They just had energy, you know what I mean? And as a kid, you gravitate towards that. And I mean, I still obviously have a lot of respect for both of them, just as the kid in me. But I think Kai is kind of like you said, man, he's got the energy, you know what I mean? He's that bottle of Joe Cola, you know what I mean, for these kids.
You made me go off the rail a bit on this one. There's no way that you knew any words that Mystical was saying.
Not a lot. It's probably good for my parents. They might not have me repeat them all.
Oh my
Uh,
God. But
yeah, I
I
mean,
hear you
when
on
I
the
mean
in
when Mystical went from No Limit to Jive, he had a little bit more, I'd say like more James Brown type
he was
delivery, a
yeah.
little less like Twister or Das Effects.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I try to recite a mystical verse, that'd be a bad idea for a variety of
Oh,
reasons. Yeah,
absolutely.
we'll just say yeah. I couldn't catch all the words as a kid.
That's what, and I caught him just as he, right before he went to No Limit. And I
Mm.
remember I was in college, and it's like, I don't understand a word this dude is saying, but the energy that he brings is insane. Um, which leads to this favorite rapper, favorite, favorite album, favorite rapper currently.
Oh, currently, right now, damn,
I mean,
that
if
makes
I go, I would, I'm going to assume that you're, no, I always say this because I think everyone loves Jay-Z, but I think it's probably just me. Do you have a favorite rapper?
I mean, I think Jay-Z's the best, you know what I mean? Just
Okay.
in terms of catalog and depth and the stuff he did. I think I mean Wayne's special to me just because like I had the edited version of The Block is Hot as a kid, you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I kind of saw the whole thing, you
The
know what I
whole
mean?
that was
And
the
like
beginning. Is like
yeah, and was
before.
really for sure, and was really the right age for like he was when he was putting out most his most creative and most all over the place work was when I was in high school and college, so I had the most time to consume it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean the timing was there. And then I mean Kanye, like, obviously it goes without saying. I mean, he's been an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, like
Yeah.
I don't mess with any type of hate speech or, anti-Semitism or even some of the other stuff that just dealing with treating people. But I mean, as a body of work, he is hands down my favorite. Not even close. Like
That's
honestly, not even in his height, not even close.
it's that's the one that's the one thing I hate about Kanye. Um, because this is his hometown. And
Yeah.
so you have to love Kanye. Try to love Kanye here. And you can't deny the talent. I can honestly, I think he's hit or miss now, and that's just
Yeah,
because I
for
don't think
sure.
he's focused. But his body of work is insane. But again, I'm like you. It's like I wish the person and the art were different.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you watch that, the Genius documentary or whatever, it's very clear that he's always been the same guy, but the line of demarcation is when his mom passed. You know what I mean?
I'm
And
glad you said yes. I'm
yeah,
glad
and
you also noticed that.
I think that as much as it's probably a very Midwest thing to use work as a means to grieve, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And I mean, shit, I'm not gonna front. Some of my favorite work came out of that grieving period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was ever the same as just a dude afterwards. And I think that there was a lot of mental atrophy that, like, because now, aside from just like the outburst or miscommunications or looking, attention seeking, Megan Garvey's one of my favorite writers. When the Ye album came out, she said it seems that Kanye's more excited by the Ye antic than like the Ye output, if you will, or the work. And I think that he was such a detail driven focused artist and he's become the opposite. I mean,
Yeah.
never mind all the ugliness or other things or stuff like that. But no, it's a shame, but I mean I hope he gets it figured out. I'm still pro forgiveness.
Yes.
But at a certain point, you lose people's trust. You know what I mean? It's gonna take a lot to make that back.
And that,
And I
yeah,
think more
that's
than just really good work. Um, but we'll see.
no, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly what it is. It's we I think if when you live here, you know what a big influence his mom was, just in
Yeah.
Chicago, let alone him. And so you never really saw him grieve. And unfortunately, I'm kind of like you. I think some of his most amazing work is when Kanye is suffering. I like 808
Yeah.
and Hard. I didn't love 808 until later when I really realized that, oh, I feel this now at that point. And then it was, God, what was the one with Black Skinhead? That album was, I
Oh,
mean,
Jesus, yes.
Jesus. I mean, and it's like that when he's tapped in and he's such a perfectionist, but you can tell he's broken and never really repaired that.
Well, yeah, and even I mean, 808s, what's that, maybe like a 10 or 11 song album.
Yeah,
It's more, even if it's drawing from similar pain, it's grieving his breakup with his fiance at the time, Alexis Pfeiffer, more than loss of his mother. You know what I
right.
mean? Like there's only one or two songs that are maybe, even if it's similar tones or textures. And then yeah, Yeezus is kind of it's going against the fashion establishment, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And maybe trying, I don't know if he's trying to get out of his Def Jam deal or what was going on, but
Right.
I mean both incredible albums, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
um but yeah, no, I mean it's I'm still holding out hope. Um
Mm,
just like I would for anybody, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a bummer, man, because like I said, at the height of heights, no, nobody even close.
absolutely. I will say this. When I think about it, the greatest concert I've seen, the best concert I've seen a lot. Um, I got to be in the midst of Watch the Throne when it hit Chicago,
Oh
which,
wow, yeah. I saw it
which
in Dallas. Chicago had to be way, way
oh
better.
my gosh. Yeah, it was, and I'm a rap nerd. I have gone to the lowest of lows to see rappers start off, Wu-Tang Clan and like Common and whatnot I will pay for music. And the aura of this show, the aura of those two gentlemen, because you know and it comes and I've learned this with basketball too, basketball players, because I've been able to go to locker rooms and whatnot.
Hmm.
You know when you meet like a normal person, you know you need like a star, but seeing someone on a superstar level, you can just feel it. I remember I walked in, I got the chance to I freelanced for a while, and also I got to go cover the Bulls. And the right after Derrick Rose came back from his injury, his first injury, and you see all these players, and first of all, you realize how short you are and how tall six
Yeah.
three really is.
Yeah, yep.
And then a guy like Derrick Rose walks in the room, and you're like, "Oh, this is different." And it's even now. I've only been around Michael Jordan once, but a guy on that other level comes in, you're like, "Oh, this is different."
Yeah, I've only been around I've been around Rose a few times when he was, early Adidas days. I used to interview him quite a lot. I really like him, great guy.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, MJ, man, I was in the same vicinity as him in Paris at a Jordan Brand event, and like I almost welled up with tears, man. And like I've never really had that reaction to nobody before. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it's something different, man. Can't I guess as a writer, I should be able to put it into words, but I got none for you
Oh
right now,
no.
man. It's just different.
I'm the same way. I'm again, I work for the Cubs, so I'm around baseball
Mhm.
players all the time. But it's different when it's just, oh my God. Like you and you can't describe again, you don't there's not words to describe it. And Jordan's one of those people. Right now, and just maybe they retire in his jersey. I didn't realize the effect that Derrick Rose had on the city. Like I knew it. I knew we backed him because we're from the same neighborhood,
Mhm.
literally from the same neighborhood. And just to see his story, and it's something I preach to other kids, like especially from Chicago. Um, you can be good in New York or California and whatnot, but to come from Chicago, where you really have to fight, you have to be special. And Kanye was special, and there's a million 6'3" point guards, especially in Chicago.
Yeah.
But to go from where he get to be the best player in the league at one point in the world, that's takes a lot of heart and hard work and different. It makes you different. So,
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say now in today's day and age where everybody's a point guard, there's probably even more 6'3" point guards.
right?
But I think, and it's funny too, because I used to almost in college, because I was in college when, he was at Memphis or whatever, and they played Michigan State, ironically, but kind of almost detest Derrick Rose because, like, yo, this is a shooting guard, small forward playing point guard. Like, this isn't fair. Like,
Right?
all my Ed Cota, Mateen Cleaves, Khalid El-Amin, like, they're going to go extinct. And then when I watched D Rose just obliterate Michigan State, I was like, man, he's
Mm.
making every right read at a fast break. Like this guy has it all. And yeah, to your point about Chicago, I know when the All-Star game was there in 2020, Jordan Brand, I'm blanking on the name of the gym. I feel like it's South Side, maybe by like Harold's or whatever.
Um,
Where they did the 100-foot hoop commercial back in the day.
okay, I know what you're talking about. That's over by Sabina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the name of like the big gym or whatever, but like watching like Morgan Park or like the or Simeon and stuff like that, it's like, man, you could get two high schools anywhere else in America, it won't be this. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like the toughness in it, the you just is written all over their faces how much it means, what they've seen or whatever and stuff like that. And like you
Yep.
said, man, to be forged in that fire and then to become the best player in the NBA
Oh,
that young in your own city. I mean, there's, that's that's one of a kind. You know what I mean? I hope we see it again. But we might not. It's pretty special.
absolutely. Do you have a favorite player from the NBA right now?
Man, that's a good question. Again, it's like favorite Jordan. It probably changes every week, but
But like, who would you like? I'm gonna turn on TV if this team is playing. I'm gonna watch this. I want to see this dude play because that's what I would look. That's kind of what I would look for growing
yeah.
up. Like, oh, Barkley's playing. I want to see. I want to see what Penny does. Stuff like that. I want to see what Vince Carter jumps over today.
I mean, the first person that comes to mind is LaMelo Ball, just because I might see something I've never seen before. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely a pass first point guard guy,
Yeah,
so whether it's LaMelo Ball
I
or
was gonna
even
say, and
Josh
that's your
Giddey,
guy.
Chicago, somebody that's gonna bend my expectations of how pass can be thrown. You know what I mean? Which I
Mm,
feel like is even tougher now because everybody on the court is, I'll say 6'8" to avoid a meme, but they're on the lanes that there used to be. You know what I mean? The stuff that Magic or J Kidd or J Will did or whatever. It's the geometry of the court has changed that taking some of those same risks just aren't what the highlight pass now is drawing five sets of eyes underneath the hoop to
yeah.
hit a standalone shooter versus getting in the mixer on the break and drawing three sets of eyes, to find the cutter. So it's a little different, but yeah, I'd say LaMelo's up there, Ant's up there. SGA is probably the best scorer I've ever seen in real life, which
Mm.
is a nuts thing to say, man. He just makes it look so easy. Um, but yeah, man, Rob Dillingham, Bones Highland, anybody who's gonna do something fun, maybe I haven't seen before.
Oh, I love Rob Dillingham. Um, I'm waiting for LaMelo to get it together. He's got so much talent. I think just seeing his brother play here for so long,
Hmm.
and just like it's like I need your maturity level to be there. Um, I think two freaks of nature who I will watch, and I don't watch that much basketball too much. I'm more of a highlights guy. You really have to pull me in to like watch or like really be interested. Like I really lock in after like once All-Star game hits. Um, Wimby
Oh
is a
yeah, I mean,
whole nother animal, like whole nother creature from another world right now.
yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble for not saying him because I'm an hour away from San Antonio. I live in Austin, but yeah, he is appointment viewing. That whole team is super fun, and I remember I think it was opening night. I mean, I was shoot, probably watching, Housewives or 90 Day Fiance with my wife, and like, it ended, and YouTube TV, comes up, and it's like, oh, the Spurs and the Mavs are on, like, let me just, catch up through, key plays, and she goes, to, bathroom to, brush her teeth before bed, And I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God. I was like, babe, you have to see, like, he's
Yeah.
literally done four things I've never seen before in a basketball game. You know what I mean? Like, he is reinventing the wheel. So yeah, Wemby's on that list, man. I think that Cooper Flag kid's pretty special too.
Absolutely.
I like Derek Queen a lot as well.
I so Derek is going to be what gets the current Bull administration fired,
Yeah,
honestly,
he'd be a great bull. Wow.
because he was right there to draft. Literally, they had it, and now, and literally, the fit right. Oh, they could have had him, and yeah, and he's going to be. He's. I think that kid's going to be special.
Yeah, and
Um,
I would say too that a great successor in the paint to Vooch, you know what I mean, in terms of like
yeah,
timelines per se and being a hub big that I would think, Kobe for sure, Giddy probably, and Bazelis definitely could play off well. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like he's kid sick.
I'm big on personalities and players that can change the culture. And he seemed like he would fit in just that. Um, I take pride in being in saying publicly that a couple years ago, the Chicago Sky, if they want to change their culture and how they feel and what the city thinks, and this was before she became who she is now,
Hmm.
I felt like Angel Reese was one of those people, and they were smart enough to grab her, and now she's doing exactly that. Um, which leads to this. Again, there's always the pivot. What do you think the WNBA is really missing to be that next step of just one of the big four, big five? And is it the lack of stars, or is it lack of TV, or is it just they just don't have the backing? Why are they missing all this? What are they missing?
I mean, I think they got plenty of stars right now. You know what I mean? I think the game is as exciting and um I mean, it's the unavoidable thing to say, but it's comparable to the men's game as it's ever been. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's three level scoring, there's creative guards, there are tough bigs, it's a very dynamic game. It's interesting because the first thing that comes to mind is just funding, you know what I mean? Because that has been obviously such the rallying cry and like I mean, the wages are fucked up, you know what I mean? Like, and I say that,
absolutely.
part of me, I don't know if I'm not supposed to swear on
Oh
this,
no,
but
this is
like,
you. This is for
you
it. This is
know,
it.
and I don't know the math to make all that math, you know what I mean? I'm just if I did I'd be zooming in from a private jet right now. But I think that I'd love to see, and I mean it's almost just kind of like an American thing, but like I'd love to see the players get exactly what they want and deserve, and then the fans to be just as is behind it because I do think as an online culture it's more interesting to be mad about things or complain about stuff and celebrate. And man, there's so many girls worth celebrating. I mean, like,
Oh
I mean, you talk about favorite players, passing Chelsea Gray is phenomenal. She
yes.
is, I mean, that's who I want to play like. You know what I mean? Like, um, Sabrina, Caitlin, Angel, Jewel, like there's Malaysia coming up, you know what I mean? Like Paige is nasty. I
Oh my
mean, like
gosh. Yeah.
there's some real players and some franchises that are starting to get some identity. And, obviously like, I mean, ages like if, you took the best aspects of Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett and put them together. I mean, like there's some real studs and stars out there. I think it's just, you know, tough sometimes maybe getting people tuned in on the summer, like raising the storytelling and the stakes in the right way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I hope that happens.
Yeah. Same. It's just it's weird to me that the WNBA doesn't get the same backing and funding as the NBA, and there you would think so. And there's so many characters that I think the fall off to me, and I saw the difference, saw the drop even online from last year when Caitlyn and Angel were there, and then you got realize the others. Oh, there's more stars. They're actually really good players, and then maybe it's because I don't want to. mainstream. I don't want to call it mainstream. Once Caitlyn got injured, an Angel, and they weren't on TV as much anymore, and the
Yeah,
teams got bad. And I've learned this about other teams. When the Cubs are bad, no one's like people just stop watching baseball. When the Yankees are bad, it's certain teams when the
yeah,
people
it's the
you,
rising tide that lifts all the ships.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it's there, and I wish again, I wish I knew the answer because I probably wouldn't be sitting in my bedroom right now. But yeah, the game is so different, and the talent level is to a different degree than I meet so many guys who think, oh, women's players aren't even close to like men. Like you, the average
Not
guy,
true. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, at
thinks
least
that
not, skill for skill or whatever. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. I mean, obviously there's so many players in both. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can't entirely speak on it, but yeah, I think that people would be shocked how good the women's game is now. Just talk about playing D3 basketball, man. For all the people who want to jaw online about what NBA or college players should or shouldn't be doing, man, you'll see a kid who's playing D3 that's 5'10" that can dunk off 2 feet
absolutely,
and score with their offhand. You know what I mean? The game is as skilled as it has ever been.
absolutely. Um, I have my Dreamville sweatshirt on. The ironic part is I'm not really a big J. Cole fan. Um, I don't dislike him. However, I like what he represents. I love a few songs and whatnot. Do you don't have any insights on any new albums coming out from him or said Mr. Aubrey? Do you?
No, I wish, I mean, I think both those guys are probably cats that are constantly recording, you know what I mean, and just kind of find, yeah, I mean, shoot, high stakes for each of them, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
and it's a shame too, because like heading into obviously everything that happened at 2024, like I think Cole's sword was probably as sharp as it ever been, like just like
Yes.
rapping as a skill and being able to do so in a way that was still like palatable. You know what I mean? You know when like Tyler Creator was like Eminem's so good now it's almost like gross. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it's just like not enjoyable. You know what I mean? At times, you know
Yes.
what I mean, or things like that. And I think Cole was in a bag that was like
I think
very,
that
very fundamentally sound, but still like listenable or like, yo, he's not playing. And then, obviously everything that happened. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where he takes it, but I do think that it's it's interesting what I don't know what people want from him. You know what I mean? Because I think
yes.
he is an artist with depth. He is an artist with commercial reach, even though he hasn't really tried to play in any of those waters since maybe like 12 years ago. You know what I mean? Which I respect. Um, but yeah, like what musings, you know what I mean? What commentary? Because I think he's one of the few rappers that not just people younger than or people that grew up on him, but older would actually be like, I want to hear what this guy has to say about everything. You know what I mean? Like he has jewels, he has wisdom. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
I
we'll
will
see.
say I didn't I respected him for as he came up, but you're right. He didn't really grab me till I think it was Forest Hill Drive.
Yeah, that's one.
That's the one that got me. And that's like, and it's like, oh, he's actually talking about something. And right now, and this is what I don't really, it takes a lot for me to get really like, get back into like, oh, I like this artist. I like this. I mean, a good beat will do it. A good, there's, it's hit and miss rap wise or music wise right now. Um, for me, because it seems like everybody wants war. You know, it's nothing but negative online and negative. Oh, well, he's not
Yeah.
talking about this, and it takes away from the content and the storytelling that you kind of like look forward to. And
Yeah,
so,
I think Cole could, I mean, he could be the right reset. You know what I mean? I think the Clips album for a lot of people felt like restoring, I guess, like ethics per se, you know what I mean? Or like
right,
fundamentals and stuff like that. And it's not necessarily about Billboard numbers or not to say that there weren't salacious elements per se of the rollout or whatever, but even if, sincere or whatnot, but I think with Cole, there's probably like rap's more fragmented than it's ever been. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So like, is there, I don't know, it's cliche, but like, could he put out his B? You know what I mean? Could he put out something that had, or his blueprint, something that had maybe not even soul from like a sample or sound structure, but like there's heart in it. You know what I mean? Like he's talking about his family, or he's talking about his city, or he's doing things that are so true and sincere and relatable to him that aren't going to be, because I mean it sucks. You talk about society or politics, or I'll be, well, you didn't do this or say this online or whatever else. So I don't know if like that's his space, but like how do you provide social commentary or going inward in a way that is mass consumption and is literally above the, like you say, the online kind of, crab talk, if you will.
Speaking of the online crap talk, um, being in the space that you're in, do you feel the pull to be more drawn into online or antics? Because print media is, I don't want to call it a dinosaur, but right now, like all you see are clickbaits and DJ academics or like the little stories on Twitter and whatnot. Do you feel the pull to be more online or be more visible on a YouTube or something like that? And like maybe look for clickbait or the lane that you're in. Is that something like, I mean, right
Nah,
now,
not really. I mean, I think, you gotta, what, Kramer say, like, you don't sell the steak, you sell the sizzle. You know what I mean?
right?
You gotta have bees, you gotta have honey to catch bees and stuff. But I think that, I mean, I'd say yes and no. You know what I mean? Or like two things can be true. I do think that the written word has diminished value, at least commercially or as a freelancer. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it's a lot of the middle class or middle ground is falling out of that. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, you either got to be the best of the best
Right.
or churn and burn with maybe returns that don't serve you. But I would like to figure out video and audio better just because audio is what I consume the most. You know what I mean? I can listen to a podcast when I'm coming back from driving my son to school, or I'm mowing the lawn. Or I mean, it sucks that podcast came out because I was in a lot better shape when I was listening to rap music and working out. Now I just listen to podcast and I'm getting weak stretches in, but I enjoy it. It's good for my brain. But I digress, but I do think that yes, like tackling new forms, not new, but new for me, forms of media, 100%, you got to meet the audience where they're at because not everybody want to read a few thousand word oral history, you know what I mean? Um, but at the same time too, in terms of online discourse, honestly, not at all, just because even if everybody's saying, man, yeah, you're the best. That was my favorite story or video or podcast, which I appreciate. I'm not really trying to be on my phone more. You know what I mean? Especially like I said with the kid, like I want to be present. I want to be able to turn that off. Not to say that, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but I don't know, man. At the end of the day, you really don't get paid for likes, you know what I mean, or
Right.
retweets. Like, kudos to, those that have parlayed you know, thoughtful conversation or attention grabbing stuff into it. I respect that, but no, for me, I'm not really trying to be online more. Um, at the moment, it could change the tune like my favorite Jordan or favorite NBA player. Who knows? But right now, no.
Um, is there a topic or story that you would love to cover or love to write about that you haven't touched yet?
That's a great question. Um, I think only if That's a really good question. You know what I mean? I think that there's always granular stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'd love to do like the end all be all feature on like Hoop Chicago and the pickup runs there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Just to make stuff like super, we'll just use Chicago examples for now. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, Shoot, I'd love to write a story about how TP2.com is one of the best R&B albums ever. Even though,
Can you do that now?
yeah, even though holy hell, that's complicated. You know what I mean? And I'm,
Hey,
maybe not a wise man to say that.
you're talking to the one city who still embraces still.
For
So
sure.
I
And
hear
I'm
you.
not, obviously, that is not a co-sign of any bad behavior or anything
Right,
like that.
exactly.
But I'm just saying that is something that is, it's difficult. You know what I mean? And I do think that there is in this, not that, I want to cover topics that are sensitive or toxic or emotionally grueling just because I'd rather be happy. And I think there's enough tough shit going on in the world. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I do think when it comes to looking at assignments, it's like, yo, like what's hard? Because that's probably what I should do. Like there's even when I first got back into freelancing or whatever, I had this pitch that I thought was pretty good. And I was researching. I was like, oh shoot, you did that 5 years ago. You just forgot about it. You know what I
mm,
mean? So
yeah,
it's like, all right, well, shoot, doing an oral history of Jeezy and the Snowman T, like that's tough because I got some, contacts in the music industry, but not like that. And
right.
I'm really glad I did. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'd have to get back to you on that, but hopefully the right idea arises.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. Um, I saw Jeezy. He came out, he was on tour with Jay-Z, and I didn't really understand Jeezy. And this again in Chicago, he comes
Yeah.
out and literally the scariest thing I'd ever seen. I had never seen so many gang members be activated at a concert,
Mm.
and it's like I didn't understand the movement, and just like, oh my God, these are the scariest dudes in the world. They came to see Jay-Z, but still like, oh my God, and that realness to him was insane. Like it wasn't like I'm not a rapper. I am a drug dealing guy with a microphone at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
and what I was gonna say to interject, I mean, that was kind of the takeaway from the story. I mean, I know talking to Andrew Barber, he said the same thing. He's like, hey, I'm not a street dude by any means, but you went to those shows and the heavy hitters, the official cats, were there.
mm,
And I mean, obviously a white dude and I'm from suburban Michigan suburbs of Lansing or whatever, but I know what that first album meant to people I grew up around and people people
yeah,
adjacent, you know what I mean? And stuff like that and everybody and just how much like he had it. He was the conversation. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like whether you were looking back to old stuff or looking ahead to like the blog rap hipster wave or whatever was coming next, like Jeezy had it. You know what I mean? Jeezy was the end all
yes,
be all then. And I just felt like that was worth exploring, you know what I mean? Or at least stamping, because, just the same as, yo, people might not look back at the best players of the last 25 years and, maybe D Rose makes it, maybe he doesn't, but you damn sure knew 2010, 2011,
mm,
he was that guy. And
yes,
he struck fear into everyone across from him, even the super team heroes and everything. And he had it, he was innovating and all of it. And, you know, that's worth documenting, at least to me.
absolutely. Were you ever into drill? Did you ever get caught up in the drill music scene?
Yeah, some of the Chicago stuff, because I mean, I was at Nice Kicks then,
Okay,
and obviously in Austin, so South by Southwest, like back then the main thing I did was a lot of the hip hop stuff at Nice Kicks because
okay,
like my main editor at the time, George Keel, he was D1 starting point guard, so he had the hoop stuff on lock.
yeah,
So, I did a lot more, even though he was a music guy too, I did a lot more of the music stuff. So, yeah, I mean, like, obviously, like, Chief Keef, like, I was probably, in terms of that Chicago run, I mean, Vic Mensa was my favorite at the time. He was obviously more backpack to alt adjacent,
at
you know what
that
I mean,
point,
or like
yeah,
live band stuff. But, um, yeah, I mean, I think it's just ill that that type of style could proliferate through like every city, country, or scene has a drill scene. You know what I mean?
now
And
that
that
yeah,
is, even if it's, maybe a little derivative of like Waka Flocka to a degree, or like some of that like Brick Squad stuff from Atlanta, like, it's Chicago's, you know what I mean? And it yeah, yeah, I mean it's probably how a lot of people like, our age felt about like No Limit or like what was going on in Memphis.
Well, it resonates to me because I'm from literally the same blocks as
Hmm.
Little Dirk and these guys. And in Chicago, it's probably the same as other places. In Chicago, what's the hustle to get out of this where we are? And people's like, okay, well, it's
Hmm.
basketball things. And then when drill came along and it was so organic and it was so simple to do, and the kids like, well, this is the next hustle. And there was no media training, there was no musically trained. This was like these are street guys literally clawing their way out, the only way they know how, and not really like there was no formula to it. And that's kind of what, from what I took from Jeezy to like these guys,
Hmm.
the next evolution of like, oh, they're literally doing the same thing. They don't know it, they don't realize it. And then to now see where Jeezy is now, which you wouldn't even think is the same person. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
the grow up, the growth into it. So,
One, I mean, when Jeezy was doing it, he was already, by the time he, made the transition, from the streets to rap, he was already a bona fide adult and
right.
a financially equipped one. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
right.
he was already, this was his second career. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And when you talk about like raw, like youthful energy, I mean, like what Keith was like, what, 14, 16 or whatever,
50, yeah, 14,
around
15.
then, Dirk, Herbo, like, all those guys were in the thick of all of it. And like, legend has it, RP to Rob Stone from the Fader, one of my
Mm,
heroes and just an awesome guy. But like back when the Fader had Keith on his first cover, that like he flew with like he didn't have luggage, he had hefty trash bags.
yes,
You know what I
that
mean?
is
Like,
accurate.
yeah, and I mean, man, you talk about energy, and I mean, obviously he's become, like shit, like Beethoven. You know what I mean? Like he's revered as a
Yes.
genius. You know what I mean? And rightfully so or whatever. And it's cool that a lot of, I mean, obviously I know a lot of those, some of those cats lost their lives, some are still going through stuff, legal system wise or
Mm,
whatever, but like that did actually birth a lot of stars that not only changed music, but like have had enduring careers or had in careers with second peaks, which is damn near impossible in hip hop. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
yeah, I mean Dirk was arguably like the biggest star in rap, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Yeah.
which is ill.
Yeah. I've maybe again, maybe because I'm from where Dirk's from, literally same blocks. Seeing his growth, and the story's not over, but yeah, absolutely. Um, on the show, we always throw some randomness out, but we ask the same questions. There's two questions we always ask. Number one, do you have a favorite Justin?
Ooh, a favorite Justin.
Yes. Now, there's many Justins in the world.
Oh yeah, my guy Justin Tinsley at Anscape.
Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
that's my favorite Justin.
All right. Is there a particular movie or TV show that you know is awful? It's bad. It should not. It's you don't. You're not even sure how it got funded. The story is just the writing, whatever about it. It's just a bad movie. It's not going to win any Oscars, but you will watch it every time it's on TV. Like I'm weirdly attracted to Teen Wolf because
Oh yeah.
a basketball playing werewolf is just outstanding. I'm glad whoever greenlit that, God bless him.
When I was kind of transitioning from high school to college, um and probably also partaking in underage drinking and thus hangovers for
Yes.
the first time. My buddy Jordan Mitchell introduced us all, and he lives in Chicago, actually, funny enough, to Grandma's Boy,
Oh
uh,
my God.
which I wouldn't say that's bad, but it's classic to me. And then there was kind of from that, we kind of got into all the like, straight to video like American Pie spinoffs that,
Mm, yeah.
you're, basically selling a blockbuster to a 14-year-old who think they might see boobs or something. Um, and that are just like, irreverent and silly or whatever. But yeah, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for just that particular era of dumb humor
Yes.
that was, targeted to that time of my life.
We have talked shoes, we've talked basketball, we've talked a lot about a lot of things. Podcasts. Do you still follow wrestling? Are you still watching wrestling?
Not actively, no. So when I used to do Big Brothers Big Sisters, I take my little and his little brother to go see it. Um,
Okay.
I have friends, actually, my buddy Greg Peck, also in Chicago, who's like really into wrestling. So I still kind of catch it through the peripheral, but
Right.
no, I mean I couldn't tell you the last time I watched Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view. But was definitely formative to my growing up. And
Um,
I hope my son likes it. Because it's a great father-son bonding experience.
Look at this. See, you're a pro because literally my last follow-up questions are about you being a new dad.
Mhm.
How has this experience been for you? Like, what have you learned in the last year or so? Just this whole experience.
Man, I mean a lot. I think just how much I had to like grow up. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
you can be a generous person with your time or with your money or your knowledge or whatever. And you kind of don't realize how selfish you actually are in terms of like knowing how to take care of yourself and everybody else when you got somebody else to take care of. So I think my son made me grow up a lot as obviously a father, a husband, or just a dude in general. But then on the flip side too, like the best parts are just being a total kid around your kid. You know what I mean? So like you kind of, I don't know, you kind of, I struggle to say trim the fat because damn, it's hard to stay in shape when you're chasing around a kid and maybe stress eating from time to time, but like you just kind of have a more fortified thing of what serves you, you know what I mean, or being present, being purposeful, being intentional, looking at a career from not just creative standpoint, but like, hey, I gotta pay the bills, you know what I mean? Or making sure we're good there. Or, hey, this might be on paper, a ill career opportunity, but if it means I gotta be glued to my phone or my email 24/7, like I might suck as a dad. That ain't worth it. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's a lot of stuff, but just, to continue to work on myself so that um, the kid gets, is as much himself and as much of the good traits and, just got something could look up to.
Absolutely. Um, Final question. As busy as you are, with everything going on, who are you listening to? Like, what's song or what's in your head? There's got to be something music wise. Like, I've been listening to this or this person or this is where I'm at.
Well, I mean, most of the music I listen to is like, with my son. My son loves Basketball by Curtis Blow.
Really,
He loves Elmo's songs, There's this song I'm a Pizza that I really like.
I like it already.
But as far as music I'm listening to, I say I still listen to everything. You know what I mean? I
Okay,
know that's kind of like a jackass thing to say. There's so much I can't listen to literally everything, but I try to stay abreast of everything that's coming out to just have a pulse, but it's tougher for stuff to stick because like hip hop's my genre of choice
right,
still, but I'm probably not looking to any current rapper for like wisdom. You know what I
right.
mean? Like respectful, and that goes the same for rock or anybody. You know what I mean? I'm just
Mhm.
not in, I don't have like a common type figure, you know what I
Right.
mean? Or like maybe if Q-Tip puts out a new album, you know what I mean? Or something,
Okay, right.
there's some stuff, but it's still probably more energy, you know what I mean? So I like Playboy Cardi. That's, probably I like Playboy Cardi. In terms of rock, I like McGee a lot. I like
Okay.
Turnstile. Nourished by Time, I think put out like probably my favorite album of last year. I thought the Justin Bieber album was good.
Oh, there, see, there you go.
Um,
That's. I don't have a lot of believers that listen to here because they think I am a believer. I'm not because of him,
yeah,
music wise. Oh my, I think whatever this kid has, he has it.
killer man. Yeah. The
Yeah,
the new album having put in his faith in Dijon and McGee on some of the writing stuff and some
yeah,
of the other folks, like he and Ivan too, I don't know if you listen to like the deluxe or like the swag 2 or whatever.
absolutely. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, it was cool because I mean it wasn't as sturdy to me as, the original or whatever, but like
Hmm.
Speed Demon, despite just like the name, like has a little bit of like a Michael Jackson like kind
Right?
of riff or feel to it. And then when it ends and it's like the whole or Swag 2 ends and it's like a spoken word like basically talking about like the Bible and the fall of man and then it just goes into All I Can Take. I was like, yo, I respect that. I want our artists to be a little left of center in terms of like, and that's not like any take on religion or anything like that, but like I like that all this made sense to him. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
he's like that, like there is this arc and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought, and again, as a dad, to be able to put on something that like all three of us in the car can, like enough in the background is good. But yeah,
yeah. I tell people again, it's a lot of not finding a lot of Justin Bieber fans, but you can tell that he was on his own journey and just kind of took all the like. I'm not really dealing with what anyone else thinks. This is my journey that I'm going to put on record, and we're going to go with it. And you deal with it. It's me being a new father, being new married, and just the
hmm
journey he was on. And I think I appreciate anyone who's willing to go against the grain and say, I'm not looking to sell. I'm clearly looking to sell, but this is just me. This is my art. This is who I am. This is it. Love it or leave it.
yeah. Even though I'm sure some people would maybe wish some of the songwriting was maybe like a little more personal or revealing, I'm with you that like I think he gives enough or keeps enough, and it's not sanitized. You know what I mean? Even if it is cleaner than say a McGee or Dijon record, there's still a countercurrent to it. I'd also say too, in terms of albums I really liked last year, I liked all the Jay Electronica stuff. That is somebody, even
Mm,
if I don't agree with all his musings, or
yes,
Lenzon stuff, I do think there is some jewels or wisdom in some of the stuff he says, and just that his approach is entirely his own. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely. I'm a big
uh,
Rory and Maul fan.
mhm.
And Rory is, I think he's Jay's manager, and he's also in the sessions of him recording that album. And not wasn't a huge fan at first, but then you hear the depths that Rory goes into, like this is what he was thinking that ties into this, that ties into this, and this is where his mind was. And I've never met a man whose mind is this point. And it's like, and then
Yeah,
you
he's
listen to like, I didn't realize the songs that he was telling were actual like storytelling. Like, this is some of these things actually
yeah,
happened,
he,
and that's
he's
like, okay,
yeah, he's on a different plane. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I respect that, and I mean, I've kind of got to grow up with him a little bit. You know what I mean? So like, I mean,
right,
because I've known JLX stuff for 15 plus years now or whatever. But I think that he still has some of that it factor that I think a lot of like kind of raps underground darlings maybe don't, even if I still like them or whatever. Like
yeah,
there just is something shinier about him than maybe some of his like would-be contemporaries or whatever. But yeah, I'm a fan.
absolutely. Um, Tell the people where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, I'd say mostly now, on ESPN Landscape is probably where most of my writing is. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff over the years for Complex, for Boardroom, for Nice Kicks, JD Sports, doing the JD Sports podcast. We've had a whole lot of fun with that. That's been dream project and hopefully more of that to come. But yeah, stay tuned, man. Always cooking up something new, even if it's about something old. So we'll see.